Hello everyone, Nick the DM here, and today I'm doing something a little different than usual. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the classes, or the optional class features from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the Fighter, Cleric, and Paladin for today's video. Now, for those who don't know these optional class features, these are new features introduced in Tasha's that are in addition to to the existing class features, or some of them do substitute other class features, as we'll see as we go through them. Now, an interesting thing about these is these aren't automatically things you get as you do with a subclass. These are things that the DM can decide whether you earn them or not, or even if you earn some of them instead of all of them, and each character might earn different ones if you have two of the same class in the party, or some characters might get new abilities, others might not, depending on how the story progresses. The DM can present these a number of different ways. They can be given through conquests. The DM can place tasks and trials in front of the PCs to see how they react, and if they succeed, then they can get these abilities, or if they've gone through a time skip and they've trained with someone, they can have access to these. Now, one thing I should mention before we get into these subclasses is that I recorded me reviewing all of these subclasses in one big recording session, and then realized it was too long a video, so I chopped it down. So there might be some inconsistencies with my wording as I talk about earlier class options that I didn't actually review in this video because I reviewed it in one recording session. So today we're taking a look at the Fighter, Cleric, and Paladin, and then if there's anything that I referred to, the other videos will be out tomorrow and the next day. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm just letting you know because I've recorded this after I've recorded the other one, but I'll let you get into the actual video now. Alright, have fun. Next, we have the Fighter, the typical martial class. At first level, for the fighting feature, for these optional class features, you get fighting style options. So when choosing a fighting style, the following styles are added to your list of options. Other martial classes have these, but they don't have the same new options, so it's going to change around. This was in UA, and they've added the ones they liked in here. So first one is blind fighting. You have blind sight within a range of 10 feet. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness, Moreover, you can see an invisible creature within that range unless the creature successfully hides from you. So basically, short area blind sense, or blind sight. Interception. When a creature you see hits a target other than you within 5 feet of you with an attack, you can use your reaction to reduce that damage the target takes by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus to a minimum of 0 damage. You must be wielding a shield or a simple or martial weapon to use this reaction. So it's kind of like the I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but the other fighting style where you can impose disadvantage with your shield, except this one you can reduce the damage, which is great because rather than just imposing disadvantage, if you're fighting swarms of lower level creatures, you can just straight up block the damage if you're guarding any NPCs or if your low party member is going to take a hit. Next up is, again with another fighting style, is Superior Technique. You learn one maneuver of your choice from among those available in the Battle Master archetype. So kind of like the, I don't know the name of it, I can't remember it, the one feat. I can't remember the feat, but it's the same thing. You get a Battle Master, you get a choice of a Battle Master technique. If a maneuver you use requires your target to make a saving throw to resist the maneuver's effect, your saving throw DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus either your strength or dexterity, your choice. You get a superiority die, which is a d6. This die is added to any superiority dice you have from another source. So if you are a Battle Master and you take this to get another die, this will permanently stay a d6. It will not go up or down with your other die. The die is used to fuel your maneuvers. A superior die is expended when you use it. You regain your expended superiority dice when you finish a short or long rest. Then you have Another option is thrown weapon fighting. You can draw a weapon that has the thrown property as part of the attack you make with the weapon. In addition, when you hit with a ranged attack using a thrown weapon, you gain +2 bonus to damage roll. To the damage roll. Wow, I spoke so much broken English there. So I like this one because you can basically have your thrown weapon holstered, so instead of holding it and alerting everyone to the fact that you have a weapon and, oh no, he's going to attack, roll initiative, you can now have a dagger at your side just sitting there while you're talking to the evil king, and then all of a sudden you can take it right out of its sheath and throw it at him. And then if you hit, you do additional damage. So I do like this because the interaction with actually stowing, because you can only normally stow or draw one item or weapon per turn. This one, it's part of the attack. So you could attack with a sword, and then if you take that enemy down once further away, you can't reach it. Throw the knife from your belt. Next is unarmed fighting. I love this one. Your unarmed strikes can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier on a hit if you aren't wielding any weapons or a shield when you make the attack roll. Or if you aren't wielding any weapons or a shield when you make the attack roll, the d6 becomes a d8. At the start of each of your turns, you can deal 1d4 bludgeoning damage to one creature grappled by you. This one's pretty unique because rather than only monks being able to hit better than 1 strength damage, or 1 damage plus your strength, now it's now even the fighters have an ability to do that, and if they're not wielding anything, like if they just want to get into a brawl, they can deal a lot more damage. Also, grappling, you're now better at grappling. You can manipulate the target and deal damage to them, which pretty useful. Next up, outside of the actual fighting style options, we have martial versatility, which is a 4th level fighter feature. Whenever you reach a level in this class that grants the ability score improvement feature, you can do one of the following as you shift the focus of your martial practice. Firstly, replace a fighting style you know with another fighting style available to fighters. Secondly, if you know any maneuvers from the Battlemaster archetype, you can replace one maneuver you know with a different maneuver. Now, this isn't just if you're a Battlemaster, it's if you know maneuvers from the Battlemaster archetype. So whether you have that feat or the fighting style we just covered, then you can replace one of them each time you get an ability score improvement, which is great. Again, just like the cantrips, if you find you're not using one, or maybe one will become more useful for this section of the campaign if you know what's coming up. And then changing a fighting style is a big thing, but like it can be more useful as well, because if you find that you don't have a lot of other close range companions, and you have if you have like the interception fighting style, but you don't have any other companions that fight in close range, you're not going to use that as much, so you're not going to want it, and you can change it. Pretty good. Changes the versatility of your fighter. Next, this is a doozy, so fighters have a lot, is maneuver options. So new maneuvers added to the Battlemaster's maneuver list, and also anyone with superior technique, fighting style, or the Martial Adept feat. There it is. There's the title of the feat, Martial Adept. So new maneuvers, which you can use using your superiority die, starting, I think we have 6 of these. So starting off, we have Ambush. When you make a dexterity, stealth check, or an initiative roll, dexterity bracket stealth, so I should honestly just say stealth. When you make a stealth check or an initiative roll, you can expend 1 superiority die and add that die to the roll, provided you aren't incapacitated. So you can you can stealth better, and then when you're actually ready to ambush, you can get the drop other than just the surprise round of combat. You can get the drop on them by being higher in the initiative. Next is bait and switch. This one is my favorite by far of the new ones. I absolutely love this one. When you're within 5 feet of a creature on your turn, you can expend 1 superiority die and switch places with that creature, provided you spend at least 5 feet of movement and the creature is willing and isn't incapacitated. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Roll the superiority die until the start of your next turn. You and other creatures, and the other creature, your choice. Until the start of your next turn, you or the other creature, which is your choice, you can choose, gains a bonus to AC equal to the number rolled. So that could potentially be a +6 to AC, which can be really good if you have a low party member that doesn't want to get an attack of opportunity, or even if they're disengaged or not, they're going to be like followed. you can jump in behind them, basically tag team wrestling match, tag out, get in there, get them to run away, and then sit there and just grapple that creature so they can't run after them. And then you can either give yourself a +6 to AC, meaning they can't really hit you when you're grappling, well, for the next turn anyways, or you can give your friend over there a +6 to AC, potential +6. It's 1 to 6 if you have, depending on your die as well. Next up, you have Brace. When a creature you can see moves into reach, you oh boy, wow. I'm not able to speak today. When a creature you can see moves into the reach you have with a melee weapon you are wielding, you can use your reaction to expend 1 superiority die and make 1 attack against that creature using that weapon. If the attack hits, add the superiority die to the weapon's damage roll. So basically, instead of an opportunity attack where they have to leave your reach, the moment someone comes within your reach, use your reaction and use this die to attack them. So comboed with the tunnel fighting feature, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you know that combo, where you can use tunnel fighting and sentinel to stop people in their tracks once they enter your range, and if you have a longer reach weapon, you can stop them where they are. This could add to that if you choose this one. Next is Commanding Presence. When you make an Intimidation, Performance, or Persuasion check, you can expend 1 superiority die and add that superiority die to the ability check. I like it. It's not like my favorite, and I don't think I honestly wouldn't use a maneuver on it personally. Just I don't feel like I'm going to use that much, especially if I'm a fighter. But it can be very useful in a lot of social interactions. Next is Grappling Strike. Immediately after you hit a creature with a melee attack on your turn, you can expend 1 superiority die and then try to grapple the target as a bonus action. Add the superiority die to your athletics check, so when you actually grapple, which is pretty good. So strike, grapple them, and prevent them from running away, or they have to use their action to disengage or attempt to break the grapple. Then we have Quick Toss. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 superiority die and make a ranged attack with a weapon that has the thrown property. You can draw the weapon as part of making this attack. If you hit, add the superiority die to the weapon's damage roll. So kind of like what we touched on earlier with the thrown weapon fighting, where you can you can draw the weapon as part of making this attack, so you don't have to have it drawn and wield it at the time. And then it can deal extra damage. So, and it's a bonus action, which is pretty good. Like, normal attacks, bonus action, throw a weapon that has the thrown property. So I think it can cause a lot of combos there, especially if you have something that can stop an enemy in their tracks. And then finally we have Tactical Assessments. When you make an investigation, history, or insight check, you can expend 1 superiority die and add the superiority die to the ability check. So again, not something I find I would use too much. Maybe I just need to run more of these in my sessions, which I probably do. But I do like the fact that now you can get more knowledge on it based on your skill. Like if you're more knowledgeable, you're more skillful of like fighting and combat, and that if you make a history check on a certain type of weapon, you'll know more about that weapon. So it's pretty good. I could say that's all we have for fighters, but like we had a lot for fighters, so that's it for it. Next up, we have the Cleric. Now, just like I mentioned before with Bard, any spellcaster gains an optional feature to have new spells added to their spell list. With the Cleric, starting at 3rd level spells, you get Aura of Vitality and Spirit Shroud. 4th level, Aura of Life and Aura of Purity. 5th level, Summon Celestial. That's a new one from Tasha's. 6th level, Sunbeam. 8th level, Sunburst. And 9th level, Power Word Heal. So a lot of these is one thing I've noticed, is that you don't always get a spell or new spells for each individual level, and this makes sense because they're not always going to make new spells for each individual level. Next up, a 2nd level Cleric feature is Harness Divine Power. You can expend a use of your Channel Divinity to fuel your spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol, utter a prayer, and regain 1 expended spell slot, the level of which can be no higher than half your proficiency bonus rounded up. The number of times you can use this feature is based on your level you've reached based on the level you've reached in this class. 2nd level, you can use it once, 6th level, twice, and 18th level, thrice. Yes, it says thrice. I also like the usage of that word. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I enjoy this. Now, not often are players, as in my experiences anyways, subjected to areas where they're going to lose that many spell slots. Maybe in like a big bad evil guy fight, BBEG fight, they'd be able to, might expend a lot of spell slots, and in this case they'd need some lower spells, or they need to get some back. Now, that's for higher level. At earlier levels, this is absolutely amazing, because if you're even in one dungeon and you don't want to be useless just whacking something once or twice with your heavily armored cleric, you can use your spells and then feel relief at the fact that you can at least once get another spell slot back. It is a pretty good balance with half your proficiency bonus rounded down, which means even at the higher levels, like what is it, 17th and up, that you get +6 proficiency. I'll put the chart there. That means you can only get a 3rd level spell back, but you can do that 3 times at like 18th level and such. So it's a good balance. I like it, and it makes it so that if you do run out of spell slots, or if you have a long running adventure, and you don't have a chance to rest that often, maybe short rest, not a long rest per se, then you can still get some spell slots back and not feel useless compared to the warlock, who can get all their spells back on a long rest. Next is cantrip versatility. Just like I mentioned with the bard, whenever you reach a level in this class that grants you an ability score improvement, you can replace one cantrip you learned from this class's spellcasting feature with another cantrip from the cleric spell list. So again, swapping out your cantrips. If you find the campaign's progressing in a different direction, you would focus more on other spells other cantrips that you're going to use more often. It's a good thing to swap out. I enjoy it. Next up is Blessed Strikes. It's an 8th level cleric feature which replaces the Divine Strike or the Potent Spellcasting feature, which are from the Life and Light domain clerics. You are blessed with Divine Might in battle. When a creature takes damage from one of your cantrips or weapon attacks, you can also deal 1d8 radiant damage to that creature. Once you deal this damage, you can't use this feature again until the start of your next turn. Now, I do very much enjoy this one. Firstly, I'll touch on what it's replacing. So for the life domain, you have Divine Strike, which, reading it off, at 8th level, you gain the ability to infuse your weapon strikes with divine energy. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause that attack to deal an extra 1d8 radiant damage to the target. When you reach 14th level, the extra damage increases to 2d8. So replacing this for the life domain cleric at early levels actually is better than what Divine Strike currently is, because not only on a weapon attack, but also on a, specifically a cantrip. So anytime it's a cantrip or a weapon attack, which is pretty good. Of course, it won't deal as much damage later on, because Divine Strike goes up to 2d8 at 14th level, but that's the trade-off you get. Instead of having to be in melee combat all the time, cantrips will deal additional damage. Now with Light Domain, Potent Spellcasting is starting at 8th level. You add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any cleric cantrip. So this, if you max out your Wisdom with your cleric, would deal an additional 5 damage on any cantrip. Meanwhile, with the new feature, the Blessed Strikes, it'll deal 1d8, so the potential of 8, and on average 4.5. So it's a little bit of give and take. I think, honestly, it is way better to choose if you're planning on dealing more damage, because from Life Domain, instead of having to be up close and personal, you can do it from afar as well with cantrips. And for Light Domain, it's you have the potential of dealing higher damage, even if you don't always, because before with Light Domain Potent Spellcasting, it's a strict number that you add to it. Now it's a die. So it's give and take, but I really do like this feature. I think it's very versatile. And the great thing about this, if I'm reading it correctly, you can any other cleric can have this as well. So like I just showed Life and Light Domain because that's what you'd be sacrificing if you were one of those. But other clerics can have this too. So basically other clerics just get free extra damage, which is amazing. Unless I'm reading this wrong, which I don't think I am. But it's just a really good option. Next we have Paladin. So Paladin, as with the other spellcasting classes, you gain additional Paladin spells as 2nd level optional Paladin feature. This gives you 2nd level spell Gentle Repose, Prayer of Healing, Warding Bond. 3rd level, Spirit Shroud, which is a new one, and 5th level, Summon Celestial, which is also a new one. In addition to getting new spells, because they're also a martial, they gain new fighting style options. So again, at 2nd level, these are new ones added to your list of fighting styles if the DM allows it. You have Blessed Warrior. You learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the Cleric spell list. They count as Paladin spells for you, and Charisma is your spellcasting ability for them. Whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace one of these cantrips with another cantrip from the Cleric spell list. This is so far above the versatile spellcasting, because not only can you get 2 new cantrips from Clerics and then make it a Paladin spell, you can also, every level, not just ability score improvements, every level you can swap one of these out if you don't like it. You can test the entire Cleric cantrip list. Be like, I'll figure out the ones I like, test all of them, even combo them for the most part, and then figure out which ones you like just in time to get high level. It's absolutely amazing. I like it. Again, you have to use a fighting style for this, but it's not bad. It's not a bad option. Next, you have Blind Fighting, which we touched on earlier. Blind Sight with a range of 10 feet. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can see an invisible creature within that range unless the creature successfully hides from you. And then Interception, like the fighters also had, creature within 5 feet of you. You can use your reaction to reduce the damage to that target by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus to a minimum of 0 damage. You must be wielding a shield or simple or martial weapon to use this reaction. So similar ones. So I like Paladin because it both gets the new spells and it gets new fighting styles. I especially love that first one. Then the next feature we have is the Harness Divine Power, a 3rd level Paladin feature. You can expend a use of your channel divinity to fuel your spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol, utter a prayer, and regain 1 expended spell slot, the level which can be no higher than half your proficiency bonus, rounded up. The number of times you can use this feature is based on your level. 3rd level once, 7th level twice, 15th level thrice. So, like the Cleric, except you can gain spell slots, you can, instead of 18th level for 3 times, it's 15th level. So it's a little bit lower, making it easier for them to regain spells, which makes sense because they don't have as many spell slots, and they're not as heavily dependent. Well, they are kind of more heavily dependent on having their spell slots. It's kind of like how Warlocks get them back on a short rest because they have very few. So, I do enjoy this one. As I mentioned with the Cleric, you can get these back if you're on a long adventure, and Paladins is important, especially when you're trying to combo all of those smites. Martial versatility, as we mentioned earlier with the fighter. Whenever you reach a level in this class that grants you the ability score improvement, you can replace a fighting style you know with another fighting style available for Paladins. This replacement represents a shift in focus in your martial practice, yada yada, just like before. Not going to go over this again, but yeah, it's a good thing. Switch everything around. So Paladins, basically, for Tasha's, they just have the ability to switch everything they have for something else. And that's it for the Paladin. Alright, and that is all we have for today's video on the Fighter, Cleric, and Paladin. The next one will be on the Druid and Ranger and Sorcerer, mostly because Ranger is a massive class, or massive optional class, so it's going to take up a good chunk of the video. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and give this video a like. And if you have any comments or any recommendations or anything else you want me to review, even in past editions, I don't just do 5th edition content, then leave the comment. I always read the comments. I always try to see if there's anyone out there looking for any material for me to review. But otherwise, again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all hopefully next video. Bye!